this shit. Tell them crackers I bleed the fifth. Bring that fire like Prometheus. I ain't tripping off that measly shit. Deba keep the fifth. Malak just got some bullets they heat seeking shit.
What's your name?
I'm Ara.
Ara, how you doing, man? Shalom alaikum. Yeah, are you Sunni or Shia?
Sunni.
Oh, you're Sunni.
Yeah.
What school of thought? You Salafi?
Most Bangladeshis follow Hanafi. Most of them in that case.
Oh, Hanafi.
Yeah, but the thing is I think that when you get into the school of thoughts, I don't think because a lot of it's based off the imams that were teaching it at the time, whether it be regional, whether it be maybe minor difference. Like I think the Ahmadiyya ones in Iran specifically.
Yeah, Ahmadiyya.
They're a little bit different.
We talked to one a year and a half ago.
A lot over here, because there's a lot of Persians out here too. A lot of Persians are Ahmadiyya, right? So I wouldn't say that I disagree with any, because I understand at the end of the day, a lot of it's based on faith, right? And it's hard to argue faith.
So you don't disagree with the Ahmadiyya stance about?
And of course, like Imam Mahdi and stuff like that. Yeah, of course, I disagree with that.
Okay.
100%, right? But at the same time, like I don't want to put a rift between myself and other people that identify as Muslims. I got no right to say if somebody is less Muslim than me or not less Muslim than me. Same way I got no reason to say if someone's more Jewish or Christian or whatever it may be. So it's not my place to say, oh, that's not real Islam. It's not my place to say.
Okay, but so here comes a question on that. Where do you come in and start correcting things? Because I'm sure the companions just correct everybody, right? So where do you? If you're saying that you have no right to correct nobody or nothing.
No, I didn't say correct. I said to disregard them and judge them as a non-Muslim.
Okay, cool.
Correcting I think is different.
Now, correct.
Like right now, technically speaking, I would say that if somebody said, let's example, Jesus was Mexican, I'd be like, well, no, that's not true, man. I'm sorry, break it to you. That's not me judging him by any means to think that, oh, you're wrong for Jesus judging him as Mexican. But it's like, hey, I disagree with that. It's up to them and to do maybe a lot of their own thought, whether they disagree or not, whether they go to home, sleep, think about it, whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, I think, I could tell them like, hey, I disagree with the Imam Mahdi, the stance on Imam Mahdi being, born, I think it was 1900 or whatever, or
something like that.
Or something like that.
And he winded up dying and stuff,
Yeah, I think he died on like the toilet or something like that, like something crazy.
Something crazy.
Yeah, so it's just. But at the end of the day, like, I could correct it, but I don't want to judge them. I don't think
that's the thing, though, because I've seen a lot of Muslims saying that we are not to judge, or we're, you know what I mean? And that's a slippery slope, or else your whole community, your whole ummah would start doing whatever you want, and with no accountability and no correction within each other. That's a slippery slope. Now, I got a question.
Absolutely.
Right now, since you brought up Jesus or whatever, you guys believe he was a Muslim?
Yeah, we believe every prophet was Muslim.
How's that?
Because by definition, because
if we're gonna play the definition role that a Muslim is someone that submits his will to God and to the Creator. I mean, the first Muslim in the Quran, how many times does it say that does it change from Adam to Abraham to
the first
Muhammad?
Says that the first Muslim? Or it says that the idea of Islam was brought to the world.
Well, the first Muslim. We got ayats and surah on that too.
Can you tell me which ayat specifically?
Yeah, we have it. Because there's different ayats that says Adam was, or Muhammad
was the first Muslim.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Surah 6:14.
All right, I got it.
I think I got the Quran app on my phone too. Hold on.
6:14.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Let me go here. First one.
Just to preface as well, I don't speak Arabic, so
okay.
I can't give you
no problem.
Bangladesh.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we don't speak Arabic over there, so.
So you read the English translation?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Sunday school, but the thing is it's kind of like a lot of times where, like, you're taught it and you're told to learn it, but you're not understanding a lot of what you're reading until you actually read it independently. That's when you become educated on it. You never become educated on something unless you do it by yourself, honestly, a lot of times. So school don't teach you much unless you want to learn, right?
So are you born Muslim or your family converted? Okay.
Born Muslim, right. I mean, they've been Muslim for as long as I can tell, so I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Let me see.
But you were specifically talking about like the semantics of the word, like
Yeah.
definition of, so could you give me an example of why that isn't okay to use?
Well, because like if we're gonna say like if we look at the actual definition, or that people like to push that anybody that submits their will to a creator is a Muslim.
Sure.
I do.
Okay.
I submit my will to the Creator. Okay. Believe in the day of judgment, and believe that only God is only one. Am I a Muslim?
Do you have a separation between God and Jesus?
Absolutely.
Do you believe Jesus is any part a son, any part an association relation?
Listen, Jesus is not God.
Okay.
He is the Son of God.
But that's where we disagree right there.
Okay, cool. So am I a Muslim?
No, because you're putting it's not just the idea of submitting their will to God. It's like specifically the oneness of God, the oneness of.
And that okay. Now that's the thing though. When we speak about oneness, especially in the Near East religions, which is the Levant, that's not a special thing. Tawheed is not special, right? We look at old ancient religions like the Zoroastrians.
Sure.
They believed in one God as a supreme God.
Sure. I don't know much about Zoroastrianism.
Right. There was monotheism in Egypt at one point. Sure. At one point, under Pharaoh Tutankhamun. Right. Are they Muslim?
Well, as I said, it's just it's the way that you're looking at it. Like I said, the oneness of God. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you want to say what makes somebody by definition a Muslim, mm-hmm. typically that's what the Shahada is for, right? You profess that there's only one God, right? Mm-hmm.
And what?
And that Muhammad is the God, or Muhammad is the messenger.
And Muhammad is the messenger. What about those Muslims? What about those prophets? What about those prophets that came before Muhammad was even born?
Well, at that time,
they couldn't bear witness to Muhammad.
No.
Are they Muslim?
You're right. But these are prophets, so a lot of times, based on this situation, let's say Jibreel is like that, or Gabriel, right? Mm-hmm. The things that, I'll explain it like this. So Moses, when he got the message, mm-hmm. at least up to us, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know how y'all believe it, of course, right? When Moses was given the message of what we consider Islam, right? Because mm-hmm. what Moses was given was Islam in our eyes, right? Mm-hmm. So when we look at what Moses was given, he was given the entirety of what would shape something as Islam would be, following a lot of the teachings and so on, right? Same thing when you get Jesus, same things when you get Abraham, right? So we get all this and that. So what they were given versus, let me articulate this, because I can't articulate it in a particular sense. When Moses was given the religion through the angels and stuff like that, he was told how it would be and what to follow in that case. His believers, however, or the people that followed Moses, chose not to believe it in the 100% way that it was supposed to be given, whether it be Moses not conveying it properly or all the way to what it actually was, or whatever it may be. So the idea of oneness to God was given to Moses, and then there was a separation, like I said, with Jesus, where that was conveyed, and his disciples, well, I don't even know about the disciples particularly, but people that followed past the disciples, of course, it was kind of manipulated. I don't say manipulated. It was kind of turned into something else. That Jesus was God to a lot of Christians, right? So that's where it gets a little bit of a...
That started around 300 AD anyways, so...
They believed that Jesus was God?
Well, yeah.
Because, of course, Orthodox Christianity and stuff like that before that, believing in the oneness of God and that there's a separation of it. I think Orthodox Christians believe that Jesus...
No, Orthodox Christians, the East Orthodox still believes in the Trinity. Right?
East Orthodox believe in the Trinity?
They believe in the Trinity.
In Ethiopia?
They believe in the Trinity also.
In Ethiopia, I know plenty of people that actually have the separation of that, though. That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I think there's like two denominations in Ethiopia, but the actual Abyssinians, they believed in the Trinity also.
Well, because now it's kind of based off anecdotal examples that you may have done that, but I'm saying, like, in my personal case, I've met most Ethiopians have the separation of no Trinity in that case. That's what I've talked to a lot of Ethiopians about.
Okay.
That's anecdotal. Here? Yeah, here. Specifically. A lot of Ethiopians here in the Bay as well. So I've had the opportunity to speak to them. So I think that's the big separation in that case, right? So the oneness of God is the main thing in that case. The Shahada, in that case, the oneness of God. You have no idea of the prophet coming until the prophet came at that point, right?
Okay. Well, I would deny that that the children of Israel at the time of Moses didn't understand that there was one God. They understood that there was a God, and they understood, you know what I mean, who he was, because their ancestors believed in him before they went into slavery. Like the children of Israel, when they were in slavery in Egypt, they understood that there was one God, you know what I mean, at one point, because their ancestors, which is the 12 sons of Jacob, and Jacob, they believed in one God too. Now let's go to the surah and the ayats. Watch this.
Oh, you want text it? Okay.
Yeah.
10 minutes?
This is
5 minutes, 10 minutes. We're gonna be at
Surah 7 and 143.
Now see it, bucket brother.
The very last verse.
They said 43. 143.
143.
I apologize. I didn't even realize that.
No problem.
My bad. Apologize. Moses came to the place of said, "Oh my Lord."
Was the surah what?
7 143.
When I look upon the thief. You mind if I scroll?
Let me read it though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let me read it. When this is Surah 7 143. When Moses came to the place appointed by us, and his Lord addressed him, he said, "O my Lord, show thyself to me, that I may look upon thee." Allah said, "By no means canst thou see me direct, but look upon the mount. If it abide in its place, then shalt thou see me." When his Lord manifested his glory on the mount, he made it as dust, and Moses fell down in his swoon. When he recovered his senses, he said, "Glory be to thee I turn in repentance, and I am the first to believe." Okay. So this is obviously a reinterpretation of what happened in the wilderness when he went up to the mountain.
Smell Christ alive?
Sir, do you mind being patient, sir?
We'll deal with you in a second.
Yes, you guys.
Appreciate it.
So Moses said that, right?
Well, this is the interpretation of what happened with Moses.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if Moses. Well, of course it says Moses, "Oh my Lord," but everything else is just the story of what happened.
But I think the exact thing that you were saying is that it specifically indicates that
7 143.
you specifically said that he was appointed as the first to believe. That's him professing that he was the first to believe. Just because he professed it doesn't mean that it happened in accordance to actually what it was. It's like me saying, "I'm the first one to be here today." Just because I say it doesn't necessarily mean anything. So it's God appointing in that case. Moses may believe that he is the first in that case. Adam before him. You got prophets before him in that case. So I think that there's the interpretation in that case. But if we could zoom out of that.
He's the first to believe in what context, though?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So if we scroll past that, let's say if we look at, is that the last ayat in that one?
Well, no, it's a lot more, but I'm just saying.
I think it's important to read the
Everything
other
else is
ayats around
just-
that, though.
What's that?
I think we should read the ayats around that specifically.
Before it?
Before and after.
All right, let me. Yeah, it's talking about the Exodus, 7 and 141.
And do you think it could be first to believe out of out of Moses' followers? Do you think that could be an interpretation in that case?
That could be an interpretation.
But you see,
where would be the declaration of that? Because if this is a narrative of Moses,
sure.
Of course, the Most High promised him to be a God, as far as the biblical context, way before he left Egypt.
Promised him to be a God?
Give me Exodus 7, because this is obviously, it's not in, I don't know the whole Quran by heart, but give me Exodus 7 real quick. Because why would he say this here after he said it from Egypt, when right here, Exodus 7 from the top? Read that.
This is Exodus 7. This is the Torah. Exodus 7 and 1.
Pause you for a second. Not super familiar with the Torah. Of course I know it, but
of course.
So y'all will have to
Let's give
educate
you
me on that.
context
Absolutely.
of-
Give me some.
If he was the first to
context of that.
believe,
Yeah.
why would he wait until after they left Egypt to do it when the Most High came to him here? That's all I'm saying. And he performed all the miracles in Egypt before they left. Why would he profess that later, however long that was?
So
I'm the first to believe because you did all this to me in Egypt. So why? I mean, of course, him saying it isn't necessarily the issue, but why would he just make the declaration down the line?
100%. But don't correct me if I'm wrong. What y'all said verbatim was, why was there so many people that were the first Muslims, prophets?
Yeah.
It says that. Yeah. It says
But
Adam.
that is
Noah,
that isn't, you can't take that in the
Muhammad.
context of him saying that I am the first, like you can't say that he is the first Muslim there. There's no way of saying it in that case except from his words, which we could judge as the prophet's words because the prophet can't be perfect, right? The prophet isn't perfect. There's no perfect
that's
prophet.
subjective. What do you mean perfect?
Would you say that every prophet's been perfect?
I mean, what's perfect to you?
A perfect human being that follows the word of God by 100% nature.
I believe the prophets that Most High spoke to were perfect.
So when Jesus made mistakes, that made him perfect then?
What mistakes did he make?
What
Like
mistakes?
the fig tree?
The fig tree. Oh
Is that a
God.
mistake?
Well, I would assume you would know, like the season of.
Hold on, are you
fig
talking about sins or just
No.
mistakes?
I would say that a perfect person is someone that can't make mistakes in that case, right?
No, I would say somebody. You said somebody that follows God.
Well, yes, of course. But I'm saying if we're talking about
Seeing a tree that's misinterpreted as a fig tree that's bloomed or not doesn't tarnish his
prophecies. His prophecies.
Well, I never
Yeah.
tarnished his prophet.
We weren't talking about prophecy. We're talking about how he lived his life.
Okay, 100%. But I'm
I
saying
can,
that
I
when you
can
talk
look
about a
across the
perfect
street.
person,
Oh man, is those some plums over there? I get closer. No, those are
Figs.
figs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that a mistake by my
No.
behalf?
I'm not saying it's not a mistake on your character by any means, right? But when we're looking at a person
And
that
that's
is,
what I'm saying. What's perfect to you though?
I'd say a perfect person is one that can't make mistakes. Okay.
In
let's say.
anything.
A person that doesn't make mistakes, right?
So him walking up to a fig tree,
Out of
taking
season.
his
Out of
I mean,
season.
that's one example. Let's just say example, right? Now, I don't know, like I said, I don't know the Bible as well as y'all may, or I don't know the Torah as well as y'all may. I'll be the first to admit that. But is there other instances where Jesus may have made a mistake?
What kind of mistakes? Like what?
Let's just say a mistake, not a moral mistake, but a mistake of being naive. Let's just say that.
naive.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, how do you classify that as a mistake? What mistake? What mistake? What's the consequence of that mistake? If that's
What
the
would
case?
you quantify as a mistake? Let's make it easier on that
Sin.
then. Okay.
Sin.
So there's no such thing as
Disbelief.
okay, 100%. So I'm saying that in that particular instance, let's use this. If God told you to, if God commanded you to do something, you should listen to it. We both agree on that, right?
Absolutely.
So if you act out of rebellion to God, that's a mistake, obviously.
That's
If I-
a form
if
of a mistake.
It's
Yeah.
a sin in that case. So that's what I would quantify as one mistake, right? That would take you out of the ranks of being a perfect person, in my personal opinion, right? We
That's
agree
your
on that?
definition. I don't agree with that in biblical
You said,
context. No.
you think doing a sin doesn't make you a perfect person?
Well, in that regard,
That's what I just said.
not obeying God is definitely a sin.
That's what I'm
saying.
So if I disobey God, that's
Yeah.
I'm not a perfect person.
Sure.
We agree on that. Okay. So then if you want to add the layers to that, where if you want to talk about a perfect person, let's say without the moral objectivity to it, let's detach Almighty for 1 second and just talk about it as a person, out of actions we do, out of things we do just in general, right? Just daily activities, whatever it may be. Then we could look a little deeper, like this guy didn't know, for example, because I guess the way that I'm looking at it is that the implication for a lot of Christians, not y'all particularly, but I'm saying that Jesus is God and God needs to know everything, correct?
We don't take that stance. So
I know you don't take that stance, but I'm saying,
you can't take that stuff.
Oh, brother,
we would never agree.
And also, they'll leave the back door open, saying for they can escape on that. Well, he lowered himself when he was born. So like they'll play
And-
games like that. You know
And
what
we
I'm
would use
saying?
the example you referenced about the fig tree. If he's all knowing, how come he didn't know? We would argue that against a regular Christian because we don't believe that.
Okay.
We don't believe Jesus is the Almighty, he's all knowing, everything like that. Of course not. He takes orders from the Most High.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
he's in total subjection. So, anyways, so going on that.
we'll do that last part, and then I do gotta go.
Great,
I'm on
no
it, but I
problem.
gotta be somewhere, so
Okay, so
appreciate you.
let's go to Sir Joseph, Sir 12.
Yeah.
Sir, 12?
Yeah,
Which 12 and what?
let's start at 4. So, are you familiar with the surah?
Surah Yusuf?
Yeah.
I can't recite it for you now, but I understand.
Well, you understand the story,
Yeah.
cool. Because this is
I can't. No, I will say, I can't tell you every detail about it. But I've read Surah Yusuf before.
Okay,
That's what you're
okay.
asking.
All right, let me forward away. Let me read
you
down.
just read 4 right quick.
Sir 12 and 4, behold, Joseph said to his father, O my father, I did see 11 stars in the sun and the moon. I saw them prostrate themselves to me. Verse 5 said the father, my dear little son, relate not thy vision to thy brothers.
So he said, don't relate this vision because Joseph was what? A dreamer. God used to relate messages to him through his dream, and he was a prophet. He prophesied certain things, especially about this. Read.
Lest they concoct a plan against thee, for Satan is to man avowed enemy.
So in this dream, he dreamt about all these stars, the sun and moon bowed down to him, right? And that's his 12 brothers. His 11 brothers and his mom and dad bowing down to him, and that exactly happened in Egypt, right? This same story is found in the Torah. So he tells his father Jacob, and what did his father say? Don't tell your brother these dreams, lest you know what I mean.
They'll plot against you.
Yeah, they'll plot against you, jealousy, fitna, and all that. You know, problems within the brothers. Don't tell your brothers nothing about this dream. Now shoot the 20. Now the thing about you say you don't read Arabic, right?
I don't read Arabic.
Okay.
20.
It'd be a tough post in that case, but
Surah 12 and 20. The brethren sold him for a miserable price, for a few dirhams counted out, and such low estimation did they hold him.
So they sold his brother into slavery, right? To the into the hands of the Egyptians, right? For dirham. But guess what? The dirham didn't exist in the time of Joseph and Jacob, nor did it exist when Muhammad was writing these, supposedly receiving this ayat, right? Because the dirham, because Muhammad died what, June 8th, 632, right? Now, I want to say that the Quran was canonized and made into one book by Uthman, like around 650 to 652 AD.
yeah.
But the dirham came into existence around 718 or 719 by Umar ibn Abdulaziz, which is a king, and pretty much he was later on to be a caliph. Now the reason about this that's very important, right? Because the dirham didn't exist at the time of Joseph or Jacob, let alone was it in wide use when Muhammad was supposedly receiving this prophecy or this message. How could this be? How could this be if you believe that the Quran is the word of God, man?
Okay, so let me read that dirham part because I don't know about the dirham part. I've never been brought
That's
that thing. So.
Surah 12:16.
Yeah, no, 100%. I got you. Let me see this because there's actually an answer to this apparently
Oh,
on the
it's
internet.
20, right?
Yeah, it's 20.
12:20. To be generous, I can give you down up to 661. The very first time a dirham was struck, that coin was struck. By the Islamic, how you say that? The Umayyad Caliphate, the first ones to actually use or to strike that coin.
Okay. So it specifically goes into. It's another. I guess the big thing is an interpretation to Arabic. The direct translation, right? So when we're looking at it, we look at the word. Why is what is that called? Bullion?
Dirham.
No, I said bullion. That's the material, I guess it was made.
The bullion.
Bullion?
Bullion. Yeah.
How you spell it? It's a B.
B-O.
Same word.
B-O-U-L-L-I-O-N. Bullion.
I'm gonna assume it's the same thing in
Yeah.
this case because I'm looking at it, but I want to make sure that it's the same thing. Bullion is called dirham. That's a translation error. That's not necessarily or a translation rift, not error. But just because you disagree with it doesn't necessarily.
I mean, how? I mean, because the dirham. Listen, in the time of Jacob and Joseph, they weren't even using coins. Coins started. No, coins. Listen, coins started like around. The children of Israel started using coins around like the Second Temple era, right? This is before the temple. This is when Jacob and his sons were living in the land. And guess we got pretty much secondary evidence on what he was sold for. And if you look up the Code of Hammurabi 250 to 252, tells us how much a slave is sold for. A slave is sold for 20 shekels. Shekels are pretty much a weighing measurement. So people used to actually have little things that actually weighed a certain amount in
What this says right here. It says so the use of dirham, meaning weight pieces of silver. That's what dirham means. Dirham isn't the currency; it's the weight. That's what they use at the time. Specifically made out of In this case,
You gotta keep
I think it said
walking
bullion in this case. Bouillon. I don't know how you
Bouillon.
pronounce it. I think bouillon's that broth. Actually, I don't know.
Block, it's a bigger block.
I think bouillon is what you cook with. I think it's called bouillon. I think it's what
Well,
it's
that's the word goes back to, like,
Okay,
pretty
I
much
don't know,
a chunk of anything, you know.
So Bible mentions number of 20. Well, 20 is not
Asian
said in the
Dirhams.
Quran specifically. It says few. We said few in the few shekels, right?
Watch this.
The few which cannot denote that is intended not to mention shekels, but to mention the word of the language of the Arabs. The use of dirham represents weight / pieces of silver. That's what it says in that case.
Actually, the word dirham does appear in the Arabic. I'm gonna show you right here.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't appear in the Arabic thing. I'm saying that the word does not hold the same meaning in this case. Do you know stuff about, you know who Saussure is? Charles Saussure? He's a philosopher, he's a linguist.
No. And look, listen, I can't let you do that either, because the actual word dirham, do you know the reason why it's called dirham? Because it goes back to drachma. And drachma is a coin. Listen, and the reason why they didn't want to use the Roman drachma, because it had images on there.
Yeah.
So they couldn't circulate that coin around the Ummah because it had idols on it.
Sure.
So they needed to strike up their own coins with no crosses, with no stars, with no people on it, because they didn't want no images
You know what
on
drachma
it.
means?
So drachma go to a Greek name for a certain coin, because they have the dinar, they have the drachma. Just like in American money, we have the dollar, you have the cents. You know what I'm saying?
but you know
It's a
what drachma
different
means?
it's a different denomination.
I think we need to know the etymology of it.
Okay, let's go to
You know
the
what drachma
etymology.
means, though?
Okay, let's go there.
No, I'm saying drachma, in specific words, means was the weight, and then it eventually turned into finally a coin eventually. Okay? So drachma was later translated as that. But the word dirham specifically refers to the weight of the silver in this case.
Absolutely, because all coins had to be a certain weight. I give you that. Now, like I told you, in the time of Jacob and time of Joseph and all them, they were dealing with little ingots or little or bullions, a certain amount of weight. Now, if a certain coin doesn't, in the 1st century, 3rd century, didn't weigh a certain amount, that wasn't a dinar. That was counterfeit. That wasn't a drachma. That was counterfeit drachma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So the point is, why, like in the Torah and all these, God would not waste words, right? He would be descriptive on everything, right? So my point is this: why was the dirham used in the 7th century when it didn't come out?
May I say it? Okay, so when did you say the coins were used? When did they start using them?
What, the children of Israel?
Just coin. You're saying coins were finally used blank.
Within the children of Israel, around the 2nd Temple period, we start finding coins of the children of Israel that they struck up.
So it specifically were in Quran 18:19, right? It specifically uses the word wariki or warakaf.
And what?
18:19 is specific.
Surah 18 and 19?
Yeah, uses warakaf, right? That
what?
is mentioned as the silver coin in that case.
Okay, that's silver.
That's silver. No, that's mentioned as a coin in this case. So the word silver coin is used in this particular case.
Okay,
Dirham is used as the weight of the sheets or the weight of metal in this case.
the weight of
So
metal.
Dirham is just metal, like almost like the way they describe it is the weight of a certain metal. It never represents the shape of it. It doesn't represent the thinness of it. The assumption is that they're saying dirham, and you're associated with the currency based on drachma and dirham that you know now or whatever. So you're associating it already preconditioned into being a coin based off what you know now.
Well, because in the 7th century, they started printing dirhams. That's my point.
But that's my point, though. Dirham does not mean what it means now.
It doesn't.
Well, I'm just saying, evidently, dirham is used in a different context here, while warakaf is used in the coin context right here.
Oh, okay. So your argument is that there was coins already in the Quran spoken
Quran
in
18:19, right
in 18 to 19.
So it says,
Hold on.
this thin metal plate, leaf of sheet metal, it suggests coin in the 7th sleep.
So this is Surah 18 and 19. So let me read that. And similarly, we awakened them that they might question one another. Said a speaker among them, how long have you remained here? They said, we have remained a day or a part of a day. They said, your Lord is most knowing how long you have remained. So send one of you with this silver coin. So that's
Distinction there. You see that?
Yeah,
Why did
this
they
is-
say Dirham
okay.
and silver coin there?
okay. So there's a distinction about this. Yeah, okay.
See how there's a difference
Okay. So now you're saying, okay, cool. Now I've never heard a Muslim say this, right? But this still the whole point is that they started what's it called, striking up coins in the same century called dirham, and they had coins. See, you know where they got the dirham from? No. The first people that started striking it up was Persians. That was under the caliphate. They were Muslims, and they had
The Persians under the Caliphate?
yeah.
At that
They,
time.
they're already converted.
When was this?
I want to say they found poetry. They have found poetry bringing up the dirham, right?
So the Persians had already in the Quran. The Persians had already converted.
No. I'm saying around. Give me the victory of victories. I'm gonna tell you what years this.
So wait, this is based on a third party in this case. We're not using.
No. We're talking about the
No, I'm
Persians.
saying this is more of a historical text
Historical-
rather than
historical.
the Quran and the Bible in this case.
No, because we marry both. We marry history, archaeology, and everything.
Perfect.
Huh?
Why do you need more than your book?
What do you mean?
Your book should have it. You shouldn't have to use another source in this case. Use your
I
book
mean,
in this case.
Muslims do that a lot
Don't
too.
use Muslim. I'm saying you.
What do you mean?
Don't use other Muslims. in this
So
case.
don't use archaeology. Don't use history.
No, I'm basing it off of what yours, because you're basing a lot. You made the mistake already by using drachma as your.
I know. I mean, you did that with dirham. You showed me that in archaeology
associating dirham with specifically historically what they use
with
as drachma,
coins.
right?
In the 7th
But I
century, they
just showed
started.
you that that's not what they did though.
They started striking up coins in the 7th century called dirham.
Listen, it specifically uses the word silver coin in the Quran, and then it
Okay.
specifically separates it by using dirham. So for me to say change, like I have spare change in my pocket and a spare coin in my pocket, you can assume. You and I can both assume is that when I say I have spare change, I have a few quarters in my pocket, right?
What's the Arab word for coin? The silver coin?
My bad. Waraka.
Walaka. Let me look it up.
You said the victory of victories for who?
Brother, I'm gonna be honest with you.
It's an Islamic war that they found.
Brother, I gotta head out. I gotta be somewhere at 8:30, brother. I'm sorry.
All right.
It was a great conversation.
Great conversation.
Absolutely.
624. So this is what I was talking about. 624. The Muslims had a big war that converted the Persians already. That's 624, and it's called the Victory of Victories. You can look this up, right? And in that time, they found pre-Islamic and also Islamic poetry, because the Persians love poetry.
Sure.
They love poetry.
Yeah.
They got a lot of
That makes
poets.
sense, right?
You know what I'm saying? And they found dirhams in their poems already.
Sure.
Now,
I'll
later
just-
on, and those were coins. Now, later on, well, I said under the Umayyad Caliphate, they needed to strike up their own coins, which was dirham. Well, this is a good conversation. No Muslim has ever even went this far with me on this question.
Appreciate you, brother.
All right,
It was
now.
fantastic talking.
Absolutely.
Thank you, brother. Absolutely. Thank you, brother.
Damn, he went there. And the point is that no Muslim, he did it though. He kind of defended it, but the point is that in 7th century they were still striking up this coin called dirham, right? Huh? Yeah, he was battling though, right? But he still couldn't get around the fact that they started striking up the coin in the same century.
The thing I'm thinking about, why didn't they use that same word that he brought up back then?
Yeah, for the same coin, right? But the point about it, in this surah, let me see. Waken them. I want to see exactly what this ayat is talking about, right? Yeah, so I will have to investigate that one ayat that he speaks about. That's 17.
Back, man.
Huh?
That nigga swung back.
He swung back. He was fighting, dude. He was fighting, right? And he had his little notes. He had his notes, right?
He wanted smoke since the beginning, I'm telling you, bro.
Huh?
He wanted smoke since the beginning. I was
What are you
like,
talking about?
he wanted a flyer, and I'm like, where you from, bro? He's like, I'm Bangladesh. I'm like, okay, cool, you got time to give us dawah? He's like,
Yeah.
yeah. Dawah, you know I'm Muslim? I'm like, I know you ain't Christian.
Yeah, I know you ain't Christian, right? Yeah, man. Yeah, he was fighting for a minute, right? but they still struck up the same coins in that same century called dirham. Now he was saying that it was a weighing measurement.
Sure. What does that have to do with it?
Great. All coins had to have a certain weighing measurement, or else it wasn't a dinar. It was a counterfeit dinar. If you gave me a drachma that didn't weigh the same amount as a drachma, that's not a drachma. That's counterfeit.
Exactly.
So he tried to go back to the etymology of drachma, and it says, wait, cool. All coins.
We agree with that, though.
All coins have to weigh something. Yeah. My point is, in that same century, they struck up the drachma, and he was like, well, in that interpretation, as a matter of fact, I should have went to the tafsir. The tafsir, God, man, I go into it for the camera right now. He was fighting. Look,
He has to.
look, listen. This is his scholars. I should have went to his scholars. Man, okay, so this is out of the tafsir, which is pretty much what people what we will know as the Talmud or the Gemara. How the Jewish people have that. They go into their own scriptures and interpret it or whatever. It's commentary about the Quran, right? So Abbas Tanwir al-Mikbas, his tafsir, and Ibn Abbas, very important person, and they sold him. The brothers of Malik ibn Duwar bought him for a low price by cheating in weight. It is also said that he was bought for false money, and it was also said that he was bought for unlawful money. 20 silver coins. Another one right here. Asrar Kashif al-Salrar, they sold him for a paltry price. It is not surprising that Joseph's brothers sold him for a small price. What is surprising is the work of those travelers who acquired someone like Joseph for 20 dirham. 20 dirham still, bro.
Yeah.
And this is their scholars. Man, I should have went here, man.
But I don't know why Muslims even try to make it seem like the writings itself weren't years later. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's like that itself is kind of like a cut to like the belief system.
Absolutely.